Jaxon Reyes was the last person anyone expected to lead a revolution. He'd been a shipyard welder on the colony world of Helios, quiet, practical, always working the night shift so he could send credits back home to his family on Earth. But the Helios docks became a war zone the moment the Sithrak Armada appeared in the sky, blackening the sun with their colossal warships. He watched in horror as his crew were rounded up and herded into armored transports by towering Sithrak soldiers. Hidden in the shadows, Jackson's hands trembled, but he forced himself to think. He crawled through maintenance shafts and hid in an abandoned Magrel control room, vowing he would not be taken. With the help of Lila, a brilliant software engineer, and Andrei, a former Marine who lost his unit in the first assault, Jaxon began planning sabotage missions. The aliens didn't attack at first. They landed, broadcast a cold ultimatum: surrender the colony, submit to our law, or be annihilated. Civilians cheered quietly in their homes, sharing food and water with resistance members. Jaxon pulled a terrified teenager from the rubble, promising, "We leave no one behind." Jaxon stood guard all night, listening to Lila's gentle reassurances and the steady hum of the city above, refusing to let despair take root. Each victory drew more volunteers: cooks, medics, teachers, pilots, all ready to fight for their home. The Sithrak began executing hostages, broadcasting warnings across every channel. Defiance will be punished. Surrender your leaders. Sithrak forces responded with brutal crackdowns, but Jackson's group always moved a step ahead, thanks to Lila's code and Andrei's tactics. Instead, a ragtag network of workers, engineers, and students began whispering Jackson's name. They remembered the night he once single-handedly welded a broken starship hull to save dozens of lives during a plasma fire. Instead, he broadcast his own message, using hacked com towers. "We are Helios." They discovered that the Sithrak mothership in orbit controlled all drone swarms and heavy artillery. Civilians staged mass protests, drawing Sithrak forces away from the shield complex. Chaos erupted across Helios. Lila hacked the security doors and disabled alarms, while Jaxon fought hand-to-hand against a Sithrak captain, finally defeating him with a welding torch and sheer grit. A surge of energy rippled through the city as the mothership's shields went down. Jaxon broadcast a distress signal to the human fleet. If they could disable its shield generator, they could call for help and maybe drive the invaders out for good. The resistance moved like a wave, reclaiming building after building. Civilians gathered in the streets, cheering the names of the resistance heroes. "We don't bow, we fight together." The message spread through encrypted networks, lighting sparks of hope in the darkest corners. Jaxon refused medals, returning to the shipyards to teach new apprentices. While Lila and Andrei rebuilt networks to defend the colony against any new threat, people spoke of the night welders, engineers, and students united to defeat a galactic conqueror. Jaxon Reyes became a symbol, not just of victory, but of hope. And for generations to come, whenever new darkness threatened, the people of Helios remembered. With the Sithrak command structure in disarray and their drones offline, the tide turned. Human fighters surged from the ruins, liberating prisoners and forcing Sithrak troops into a chaotic retreat. He sent spies and double agents. One nearly destroyed the movement, but Lila exposed the mole just in time, saving dozens of lives. Jaxon trusted her with everything, their friendship growing deeper through each trial. He was no politician, but he was brave, resourceful, and unbreakable. Meanwhile, Andrei, barely healed, led a series of hit-and-run attacks, targeting alien convoys and supply depots. The resistance grew bolder, painting their symbol a glowing blue star across city walls. The planetary government panicked and tried to negotiate. It didn't matter. The Sithrak struck anyway, disabling comms, flattening resistance, and dragging entire districts away in chains. Jaxon was working in a freight tunnel when the first attack hit. Sirens screamed. The air turned to smoke and fire. All over Helios, survivors scattered, desperate for leadership. None came from the government. "We are not alone," Jackson's voice declared. "Helios stands." By the end of the first night, Jaxon had become the reluctant leader of Helios's resistance. Lila hacked the security drones, opening a path for Jaxon and Andrei to sneak in. With makeshift explosives and hand signals, they planted charges, timing the detonation with the arrival of a Sithrak patrol. The explosion knocked out enemy communications for kilometers, and panic spread among the invaders. Jaxon knew the Sithrak were strongest in the open, but their technology relied on centralized energy nodes. The first target was a Sithrak comms relay on the edge of the industrial district. Word of the attack traveled fast. Soon, the resistance rescued dozens of prisoners from a Sithrak labor camp by tunneling through a water main at night. But the Sithrak adapted, deploying new hunter drones. In one narrow escape, Andrei was wounded, forcing the team to improvise a field hospital in the underground Magrail. As the occupation dragged on, the resistance faced new challenges. Jaxon felt the pressure but refused to hide. Lila and her tech team infiltrated the Sithrak's main power grid, disrupting their shield network. The Sithrak commander grew obsessed with crushing Jaxon's group. Morale soared when the resistance hacked a Sithrak propaganda broadcast, airing images of freed prisoners and messages of unity. The Sithrak responded with fury, threatening to obliterate the city if the resistance didn't surrender within 48 hours. Jaxon and his team raced to prepare for the final battle. Lila coordinated a cyberattack, while Andrei led a sabotage team through storm drains, carrying EMP devices and explosives. Jaxon and Lila infiltrated the generator facility, fighting through defenders in brutal close-quarters combat. At the shield core, Andrei planted the EMP. "This is for everyone you took from us," he said, before triggering the device. All over Helios, humans poured into the streets, overwhelming isolated Sithrak squads. Within hours, help arrived. A coalition fleet from Earth and nearby colonies jumped into orbit, answering the call. Jaxon, battered and exhausted, stood atop the city's highest tower. Watching as the last enemy dropships blasted off in defeat, Lila embraced Jaxon, tears in her eyes. "You did it," she whispered. Jaxon shook his head. "We all did. Helios did." The aftermath, the city mourned its loss, rebuilt its ruins, and honored every ordinary person who stood up. The legend of Helios spread across human space. Humans don't give up. They fight, they adapt, and they win together.